All right.
All right, everyone. I'm actually checking just to make sure that we are live. In the meantime, while I'm doing that, Louis, tell us, how was your week?
My week, I'm grateful to say I've been busy like crazy, Donna.
Yeah. Good job.
It's a big week. I've been quiet. I've been just really running from places to places. And I'm grateful for the busy time. So it's been good. It's been a good thing.
Yes. And
Yes.
as we're sharing to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, to Caribbean Diaspora Vibes, Caribbean American Diaspora. And let me make sure I'm also sharing it to my page.
And we want to take
Yes.
the time to welcome all our listeners from CRR-FM right now. You're in tune to Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. We want to welcome you and thank you for listening, everybody. It's such a pleasure having you all out there, taking advantage of the music, the things that we have here on the network. And we have a great evening lineup for you this evening.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I hope you guys stay tuned. We may just be 30 minutes tonight. Short and sweet. We want to give you information. And then, because there's so many different programs at the same time. And we realize that sometimes an hour, people will just drift off. So we're going to try to focus on 30-minute sessions of impactful information. So, September has a lot of awareness.
Hmm.
Um, and it's also suicide prevention awareness. It's prostate health. It's a lot of different things it's a busy, busy month. So tonight we're going to focus on suicide prevention, navigating the stress, you know, of everything that's going on, bullying, hate, relationships, school, family. It's a lot. And we've got our professional expert here tonight with us, Mrs. Jean Moses, licensed mental health counselor. And so fortunate for her to be able to break off from her busy schedule to just give us an update about suicide prevention. So welcome, Jean.
Welcome, Mrs. Moses or Miss?
It's Mrs. It's been
Mrs.
36 years.
36 years. Love it.
36 years. I know, right?
Welcome.
It's a
Welcome.
thing. Can't imagine I'm even saying those numbers because I'm only 25, you know?
Yes, you look it. You look it. It's all good. Good to see you
So
again.
He looks
nice to
very
meet
happy. He does not look stressed. He is
No, not
very,
at all. Not at all.
you. She's so
That's
funny,
awesome.
Donna is. She's known us a long
yeah,
time. Yeah, long, long time. So, thank you for this opportunity to address suicide awareness, especially within our culture. My name is Jean Moses. I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in Florida and what's known as a licensed professional counselor in the state of South Carolina. So, means I can do mental health there. Today, September 10th, was Worldwide Suicide Awareness Month. So that just goes to show you it's not just America, it's a worldwide phenomena as it were. I am a grief and trauma specialist and transitional, but I cover it all. So suicide is a bit under my umbrella. I wish it wasn't, but we all have stuff to do. One thing I want to say about suicide and how I'm going to refer it is that the person died by suicide and not the person committed suicide. Because when we say the person committed suicide, it means they committed a crime, and dying is not a crime. It's it's a mental illness. Something has happened and the person died, so they died by suicide. And sometimes when we change that conversation, it's not just for us, but it's also the family, because you just never know, right? Saying it gives more empathy and understanding to what the people have gone through and what the family faces. So that's how I'm going to refer it.
Yeah, could
Popular.
you say that again for me? Give us again that little piece there.
The
Not
person
dying or not. Yeah.
the person didn't commit suicide. They didn't commit a crime. right?
Okay.
They died by suicide. We didn't
Mm.
say if somebody dies by cancer, we didn't say that they committed cancer, they died by something.
Right.
It's a form of death, right? They died by suicide. They didn't commit a crime, right? Because people, if they're at that place in life, God forbid, and it should happen, they're not committing a crime. They're in that much pain,
Mhm.
and so it is a form of that happens when people are living with depression, um, anxiety, just life happening. Um, addressing it, and I guess I'm going out of order, but I'm going to say addressing it with people in your family that you see you may feel something is wrong, the children, adolescents and young people, and it's starting younger and younger, right? Because there's a lot more with technology. We take things for granted with the games that they play, like I have a grandson and he plays the game. And the other day he picked up something playing like he's doing, but you don't think about it. And they don't recognize, especially children, that you don't come back to life because they have no cognition, right? They really don't understand. The brain at that point is not mature enough to understand. Um, for us, as we mature, for women, women attempt suicide more, which means they don't complete. Men, when they do attempt suicide, they most often complete because at that time when a man does it, they go through more lethal weapons, they don't talk, they want to, and they're out. Um, and so that's a pretty difficult thing because we really don't address the mental illness where the person's walking around and they seem sad, or with men, they're angry, like, why are you always so angry? And that's really a form of depression. They just exhibit it differently. And so we miss it. We're just like, he's just being grouchy, guilty, or he's just angry, or everything is irritable, nothing suits him. Oftentimes it's that he's sitting in depression and no one sees it. For us women, oftentimes it's like, I'm not good at what I do. I'm not a good mother. It spirals. A lot of times when you postpartum, when you've had a baby, the hormonal hormones, especially if women are out of whack, menopause, perimenopause, something people don't even think about, PCOS. We hear it so much around lately with women, but you don't realize the impact it has on the body. And so the depression that sets in, the irritation, they act out and they may say things and pay attention. Because when people say things, we say, oh, she's just talking foolishness, don't you? Right? Grew up.
Right.
You always
Right.
do some foolishness. That's the word. It's not
Mhm.
foolishness, it's their truth. And we need to listen when people say things. My mother had a saying, she would say, pick sense out of nonsense. When people are saying foolishness and you think it's foolishness, there's much truth in it. And one of the things I recommend is getting mental health. Mental health. And I'm going to clarify something about being a licensed mental health counselor. You can go to a social worker, you can go to a mental health counselor. Unless you're a medical doctor, we cannot prescribe medication.
Mm.
I do not prescribe medication. And I think oftentimes people are afraid to go to get therapy because they think the therapist is going to give their person medication. We don't.
Right.
We may see that they have a need. We would then refer them to a psychiatric, say nurse practitioner, or a psychiatrist. They're able to prescribe. Only medical doctors can prescribe medication. So don't let it, yes, Donna?
No, I just said, wow. I love the fact that you touched on, women, especially with hormonal imbalance, like after having a child. I mean, there's so many different phases for women to kind of, but there's the postpartum depression. That's a lot. New baby, body's out of whack, a lot to adjust to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted. We say she's a tired or she's, and men go through postpartum as well.
Mhm.
And we miss that
Yeah.
because they're in it with you, right? If you have the partner, they're in it with you. They're adjusting to a new life too. Even if you've had multiple children, the body does what the body does. And so you need to talk to someone that understands it. And there's no shame in that. In our culture, Caribbean culture, we're very much ashamed to face it. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Sometimes you just need to talk with someone that's removed from it,
Mhm.
someone that
Mm.
you can trust that has no bearings on it. They have no skin in the game. They have nothing to gain from helping you to heal, right? And sometimes we're afraid of that. And if a child comes, an adolescent says, you know, mom, I don't feel well, or I need to talk to some, oftentimes the parents are like, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need anything. You're not living in their body. And that's what we miss. And that's when,
Mhm.
and we're faced with extreme circumstances. We need to listen. We even need to listen to ourselves, right? Because we oftentimes have those things that we don't express to others that we're feeling internally. And it's okay to go to your primary care. They'll do a test, and you go to most of those doctors, they give you one called a PHQ, it's a patient questionnaire. When they're saying, do you feel down? How many days have you felt down? Have you felt like you've wanted to harm yourself? And you're like, this is foolishness, right? You're like, this doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
It means a lot because they're able to tell if something is really going on with you because you're able to hide it. We're so easy to talk about anxiety. I'm so anxious. I'm so anxious. I'm so anxious. We use that term oftentimes, but a lot of times it's depression. When you're laying in bed for days at times, when nothing you do is enjoyable to you, when you know your favorite food, like my favorite food is saltfish, right? When saltfish doesn't bring me joy, right? Or chocolate ice cream, like that's real talk.
I don't even get it, but no.
You don't get what?
That's a
Like
good one. That's a good one.
Selfish. Okay.
it's
Hey,
my favorite food. Saltfish
Hmm.
and breadfruit. When those simple things don't bring you joy, you need to start looking at, yes, once in a while. Yes, you get
Hmm.
it. When it's repeated, your favorite TV show, hanging out. Like you, Donna, are a very social person. If after a while I don't see you hanging out, I'm like, I need to check for Donna, right? And then somebody said, well, I'm afraid to ask her how is she feeling. But that's when you need to. That's when you need to pick up the phone and say, hey, Donna, what's going on? Hey, Donna, listen. And she'd say, I don't feel so good. I just feel like everything I'm touching is a mess. Everything is falling. I broke my wrist. I did this. And you start to question. And do you feel like you want to harm yourself? You're not going to make her die by suicide or even think about it if you bring it up. If somebody's going to do it, they've already thought about it.
Right.
Bringing it up does not ignite that in them. So don't be afraid to ask those difficult questions. Does that make
And
sense?
on that note, it's important, people that also always pouring out, sometimes you can get empty. So understand when you're always the motivator and then this and that and pouring out into others, sometimes you can really just be empty. And so it's important to refuel, step back. I mean, usually every day I think I write something positive, but there's been a couple days where I'm like, I don't have anything.
on the same subject, what about self-love? How important does self-love play in this? Because as you said, a lot of us get quiet. We have the babies. We go through all these things as women, and there's so much to be done at work, at home. You got to cook. You got to look out for the kids. You got to prepare. It's a lot of things on the woman. And of course, but where does self love, where the woman take the time to just be by herself and show, pamper herself, or even the man come in and make sure giving the woman some pampering, how does that play a part in mental health?
I think that's important, but you have to know what works for you, right?
Hmm.
And and it's not just the man and it's not just the woman, because there are many men up there holding it down in the family. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil, right? And it's more and more of it. It's sometimes they don't know how to ask. And it's about picking up the phone. People today, and I'm going to talk about technology and the impact. We think that texting somebody means something.
Mhm.
That's not contact, no matter how we twist it. You have heard, even with your music, you ever heard how many times somebody said, I was feeling some kind of way, and all of a sudden I heard you say my name. You may not have been talking about them, but they said your name. And that made a difference because they heard a voice that connected
Yes,
with them.
yes, yes.
You could
Agree.
text me all day. I'll tell you very much what I did. Many a time, and we know we do. The type of work I do, many times I just look at the phone, I just put it down, right? I don't want, or yeah, I'm going to answer that and I forget,
Right.
right? But if you pick up the phone, I'm more apt to say, oh yeah, that person thought about me. You just never know. It's that connection, it's that human connection that's real, that's not over Facebook that somebody posts a picture and says, "Oh, you look great today," and you're like, "Yeah, uh-huh," because it's the wrong person,
Mhm.
and you may be the wrong person to touch on them. But I think it's picking up the phone, talking to someone, and I do this sometimes, send somebody a little token even through Amazon. They get a surprise through the mail, you know?
Mhm.
You don't think about those things. But it's those little things that we used to do that really make a
Used to.
difference.
We've lost a lot of personal connection, friendships, because now we follow each other on social media. So yes, we know that person had a baby, that person got married, but we are not connecting as like we used to. And same thing even at home,
Shame. Yeah.
especially even with, think about teenagers, and not even just teenagers, kids that come home and they go into their rooms. You don't know, they're not talking anymore, they're not out playing, they're just in their rooms.
And that's when the things happen, right?
Shame.
And to,
Shame.
to
Shame.
segue into that is the bullying that happens. I have a neighbor around here we didn't even know. The child played baseball, was very active, did so many things. The child died by suicide because, unbeknownst to everybody, he was being cyberbullied. Very popular kid on the surface. And so it's important for us to track what's happening. When you notice your child who's been happy, happy, joy, joy, let's tell the truth. We've all been adolescents, we've all been there. We're moody, but you know your child's mood, right? You know when it's moodiness because they're just in that season, hormones are happening, but you could tell the shift. Here's your child, an A, B student, and now they're getting Fs. There's something wrong. They were completing work. Now they're not doing the homework. You're getting calls from the teacher. They're not lazy. There's something going on. They're not trying not to do the work. There's something. Ask them. If they say nothing, you know, it's okay to say, I think I can take you to a therapist. Would you like that? They may say
Mm.
no, but book a session because they may not want to talk to you, right? You may not have been a safe place. As parents, we're so used to being tough and doing the things that they don't feel like it's a safe place. Check what they're doing. There's what Discord, Kick. You're looking at the basic stuff. They're playing games like Fortnite, Roadblocks, all those things. Start going back and pulling up the feed and see what's being said to them. I was talking to this client yesterday, and he was telling me about his kid, and his 5-year-old child was playing a Fortnite on the computer. He didn't know. He just talking foolishness. You know how children are just, he doesn't know that somebody's talking back to him. He was disturbing another kid, and it was a child, and he was cursing the child out. Thank God the kid was only 5. You didn't have understanding enough at that time, but you don't know what you're doing to children. So we need to monitor that. We need to pay attention that the bullying is so undercover that you don't even notice it.
Right.
And you ask them about the sites. Every day there's a new one. Everybody's now back to what's one? I forget the other one. I just went out of my head where you can do the pictures. They go away, they come back. There's Messenger, they're hiding. People know now that you could do things on WhatsApp and hide it so the children know how to do that. They know better than you. And so you need to pay attention to the shifting in the behaviors. I'm just give a little statistics. It said in 2023, this is from the CDC, the US saw over 49,000 suicide deaths among people aged 12 and older.
Mm. That's
Among
a
US
lot of people.
adolescents grades 9 to 12, 40% reported persistent feeling of sadness or hopelessness in the past year. About 20% seriously considered attempting suicide. It's real,
Yeah.
you know, and they may
I
need to be.
think, Jean Ann, I think there's a big disconnect on with parent. There's even a greater. It seems to be getting wider and wider. And I think as we go into the technology space where your friend is the screen, and it's also like that for the parents. So they can be present, but then they're separate. Everybody's got their own favorite things that they're following. And it's like that even for couples. You have to be like, watch it. Because you could be in the same room, but then you're just laughing and having your own life with social media. So it's a division, it's a disconnect, and we have to, maybe there should be a class even with children on how to use this thing, because now they're so open to any and everything, right? So it's something that it seems harmless, but it can be very harmful, especially to the young mind and the development, etc. So um, there's no laws, but as we can see, it's the effect is not positive.
So, Mrs. Moses, what is the three main causes for, suicide? What are the number one, number two, number three? You should
There's
break them
no
down.
order because each person is different. But as I mentioned before, depression, anxiety, as you talked about bullying, people feeling less than,
Mhm.
self-esteem. And let's be clear about something. Sometimes it is hormonal, where people don't want medication, right? And sometimes the depression, they may have generalized anxiety, they may have major depressive disorders. With the person really needs medication. And we tend to discount it because we're afraid. But I'm going to say this, we talk about the heart, but the brain is what controls the body. The brain tells the heart to pump. The brain tells us to walk. It's the parts of the brain that directs everything. If the brain is out of order, the rest is out of order. And so we tend to discount that. Oh, I don't need medicine. So I put this to you. Are you going to have surgery without medication? It's the same point. This needs to work properly. Sometimes there's things that there's an imbalance, serotonin levels, there's certain medication. And I strongly urge to be with somebody psychiatric. You can go in initially to your primary care, but you need someone that is a specialist that works specifically with the brain. People talk about diseases, illnesses such as schizophrenia. Well, a lot of these things, some of them are neurological. It's not that easy. It's not a one fixed thing. I'm afraid I'm going to become addicted. Well, you're drinking. That's a normal in our culture. What's the difference? You're more depressed because you're drinking more and more. I'm going to say the elephant in the room. People are smoking marijuana. It's legal. But isn't there something wrong in a cut when you really think about it? That you're taking something that's making you more depressed without something that's made without seeds, but you're not fixing the problem. You're becoming angrier. We've seen a lot more violence with people smoking marijuana now than before because it's knocking everything else out of whack. There's also times when people are taking medication that triggers something else that creates a mental illness. And we need to acknowledge that fact because we don't talk about it. We talk about the medication that they get, but we don't say what precipitated many times why they got there.
Right.
Mm.
Wow. So you mean so regular marijuana can get you, or is it it's not the
The fake
homegrown,
one.
not the homegrown from the Caribbean? Maybe it's the added and the splice and all these different things
Talk about this. Where's this being broadcast to?
everywhere.
Everywhere. In the past, we didn't have access to everything, did we? America was the land of the free and the home of the brave. Everybody wanted to come here. But now
Mhm.
everybody has everything we have. And the same things are worldwide. It is impacting people directly. This is not a judgment, it's listening. We're concerned about suicide, people dying by suicide. They're dying for a reason. Depression is at an all-time high. Post-COVID, do you see how
Mhm.
high the depressive behaviors have been? Look at yourself. Look at your own home and the isolation. Look at how many people you don't talk to. Let's talk about losses. People die some have do the depression happens because they've been grieving and they've never dealt with the grief ever. They've anesthetized with alcohol and other substances, right? Other substances, and they
Mhm.
don't know how to manage through it.
Mm.
We don't normalize it. We
For me
normalize,
as an adult, so I can't even imagine kids, it can be a lot. Our climate right now, everything, there's a lot. Every day, it's a lot. So I know for me, I have to monitor, time out, watch funny videos, do meditation. Well, I was, doing more walking, sunlight. And so I think we have to have practices in place where we're not so stuck to the screen, following the social media. We want to be informed, but I think we can be overly, and it is taking a toll on on our mental health. And I think we need to, not just for the children, definitely for sure for children, but even as adults, sometimes I just feel exhausted mentally right now.
and if you're
Quite a
talking about
life, huh?
it's been a lot. Post-COVID, we act like nothing has happened and we just keep moving. There are a couple of resources I recommend, and that is recommended. You can call or text 988. That's a new international number. You dial 988. You can talk to someone 24 hours a day. They used to have one for the LGBTQ community, and we no longer have that. There's a crisis text line that's 741-741, again 24/7, that they can talk with. If you know there's a possibility there's someone in your family, you can create what's known as a safety plan where they notice what their triggers are, what removing of items around the house that they know that they're going to do something. If it's a knife, gun, whatever, make sure that it's locked. If you have guns in your home and you know there's someone with that, lock them up. There's nothing wrong with putting things away. It's putting things in place that you know. We also have SAMHSA, which is Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, has a lot of tools that you can go to. It's SHAMHSA.com, and you can find different tools. There's the Suicide Prevention Resource Centers. So there's so many things you can go to and find. Here in Florida, in the state, in America, mental health first aid, where you get tools to be able to help you navigate with family, um, non-professionals as well as professionals can. And we're all professionals in some capacity because you just never know who you'd run
Mhm.
into. If you know there's someone in your family, look at where your local facilities would be. If you have to call the police or you need to voluntarily put them in, if they have suicidal thoughts, ideations, right? That you can have them Baker acted, knowing the police and your support team that can come out and help you. I think it's important too that you have these things in place ahead of time. Put
Mhm.
post-it notes on the refrigerator, get magnets, SAMHSA that you can get all that and put them on there, the stop bullying websites. Don't be afraid. There's mental health all the time. There's better help. I work for growth therapy. There's multiple. Growth therapy also does mental health, but also has psychiatric on the other side. So you can see someone on telehealth. So you don't have to worry about going in. There's telehealth. And that's very
Nice.
important, right? So it's those type of things that I want to leave with today is that there's always help for everyone. You don't have to be in this by yourself. There's
Mm.
always someone that's willing to listen, and you can get peace from the pieces. Thank you for allowing me
Wonderful,
to share.
wonderful. Louis, you mentioned earlier about what can you do? I know I try to do motivating things. I teach that, so I implement them.
Mhm.
And saying little things, I call it divine whispers or sweet whispers. Sometimes we have to repeat silent whispers to ourselves. I'll say, I love me, I love you, I forgive me, I forgive you, I bless me, I bless you. we have to sometimes, many times pour into ourselves on a daily basis. It can't even be a weekly basis, on a daily basis throughout the day, waiting in line, in the shower, cooking, because yeah, you have to stay balanced, especially when you're pouring out. But even if you're not, that self-love is very, very important right now. And those kind of mantras just keep you, whatever it is, it could be a Bible verse that's important to you. Repeat it silently and silently throughout the day to keep you steady through this time. Pray, but send out love, because what we send out, it will come back to us. So that's my tip that I wanted to also share, and connect with people.
Yeah. For me, I just want to add my little two pence to it. I think a lot of us, Donna, you and I, and Dr. Moses, we are on top of our game every day. We are exceptional people that are out there doing things, and we motivate people. That's our things that we do. But for the people who are at a different level, who don't think the way we think, or in the circles, or do the things, the driver, because the people with the different personality, we are drivers. And so those other people who are more humble and don't know what to do, if you're out there and listening, a way to do it is, we call it chill. You can chill with yourself, but you can also, and those are ways to take back some control of yourself, because we are out there, whether we're at home dealing with the kids and the husband and the family and all of that stuff, it's good to walk. It's good to walk away from the home. That's part of chilling. And when I say chill, I don't mean just go lie down and sit down. I mean, take some time for yourself, walk away from the house, go look on some trees, put your foot out there on the ground, and do something different. Don't spend all your time in the house. Find a way to get yourself in a different environment, if it's even for half an hour. It does work every day. For some people, it will work. And so we invite you to do things differently. If you normally drive on one route every day, for those of us who drive out and go to work, if you normally drive out on I-4, take the turnpike, take something else, look on something, put your mind on something else. Drive on the local road, if instead of going on I-4 sometime, because that's going to stress you out. But maybe you can just change up things. I think we need to learn to change up things a little bit. Don't have to be a lot. And see how that change your life and the way you think, and you start looking at other things. But also things will come to you, things that you have been missing, the environment, the spirit, all of that will start open up to you, and you'll see things on a different level. So just invite everybody, do something different. Don't sit down at the same seat every day. And even if you go to work and you're sitting, stand up for a minute. Stand up at work. Even if they call you crazy, don't worry. I am me. I am doing me, because all of us, we look for people to validate things, and be different and live life differently than what you've been doing.
Yes, connecting with nature is very important. Back in the day, they used to heal people with the sun. They used to put
Yes.
patients outside for a couple hours for sunlight.
Mhm.
And I think we've moved away from sunlight. We have AC. We have all the comfort. We have
We're
cars. We're
inside
now,
the house, yes. We don't
yeah.
do
So
nothing.
coupled with the food and everything, so there's so many different
Mhm.
stress factors. So we have to pay attention to our bodies, to our health, to each other, to
Yes.
each other.
That part.
Yes.
Yeah, here
Self-love.
I have my
Self-love.
dog. What is
You
it?
have your dogs.
I got my dogs. You got to have your pet. Your pets really do something for you. That's why they have them in the hospitals.
Mhm.
My dogs have been my saving grace.
Yes. Very
Take
Take
important.
away that
Very,
stress. Very important. That's for
it,
yes.
sure.
it is true. And take some time off. I took 2 weeks off a few weeks ago. That
Wow.
no, that I never
Yes.
did. So that is thank you. But 988, very important.
Yes.
Put that on your sticky notes.
988. Check on each other, not just texting, because text can be, you don't hear the voice. Call, check in on people. Even if you text and say, I love you, or I'm thinking about you, but still call to hear that voice. All right? Be
Amen.
loved, be light. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gina and
Thanks so
Moses.
much, Miss Morgan.
Thank you, Miss
Thank you.
Moses.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
God bless you.
Appreciate it.
Until next week, everyone. Have a good night.